Jason. So how's everyone doing? That was pretty good. Let's try it one more time. How's everyone doing? Great, fantastic. So I'm here to talk about something a little different, employee experience. And just to get some participation, why don't we start with a quick question? Raise your hand if you're currently an employee. I don't know, there might be some consultants here. Currently an employee. Okay. Now, raise your hand again if you believe that you can make a difference, that you have ideas, you have insights that can make a difference to your company today. Raise your hand. Okay? Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand on the next question because your boss might be in the room, but I want you to think about this. How many of you really believe your company is listening? Now, you're all here. You're engaged employees. You're here at this event. You're wanting to participate. But think about what your employees are feeling, because they're talking, and they're talking a lot. One of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years, and I've been running HR functions for 25 years, thereabouts. 25 years, over 150 different countries, a variety of industries. And I've never seen what we've seen in the last couple of years. If you look at some of the data that you see here, 3 out of 4 employees don't want to go back to work. Now, that's going to vary by industry, obviously. You may have different situations where they have to do the work in person. If you're an airline pilot, for example, they haven't figured out how to work from home yet. But if you think about a lot of the businesses that we're in, our employees don't want to even come back into the office. 40% of our employees want to bring their full, authentic selves into the workplace. And let me just caveat this. They don't want to just bring their selves to the workplace. They expect that your organization will enable that. 54% of people are feeling burned out. Now, I want to talk about a particular audience, and that's your HR teams. I'm part of a number of different groups of HR professionals all over the world. And when we run this information on HR, we find that burnout rate is close to 80%. Your HR teams are tired. The world has changed dramatically, and it's impacting them and what they do on a day-to-day basis. 40% of people want to quit right now. And this is really, really important that we understand this employee experience. What are our people telling us, and what can we do about it? And so let's talk a little bit about the journey of employee experience. And we're going to start with the past. Now, I say the word past, but for a lot of us, past is yesterday, or maybe this morning even. And this was the traditional way that we reached out to employees. We asked employees, what do you think? I remember years ago I worked for Pepsi, and I remember going to warehouses and in the middle of nowhere and pulling all the employees together and saying, okay, tell us what you think, right? Usually got 1 or 2 issues, and then you were down to air conditioning or something, right? We've been doing it this way for a long time. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It's good that we engage people. In fact, most of the time what we do is we go out and we ask employees, we listen, we collect that feedback, we pull it all together, and then hopefully we respond to it and we make a couple of changes and we create that loop. Okay, so that's good, that we need to continue to do that. But then along comes social media. And now our employees don't have to get a question from us to tell us what they're thinking, right? They will talk about it anytime, anywhere. And by the way, this is not always bad news. We put the slide up there that showed the sort of great resignation of what's going on in the world right now. But what we've also learned over the last few years is our employees are an incredible asset for us. They champion who we are. They get other people to come work for us. They go out and they retweet and repost things that you put out there in terms of your marketing. So it's an incredibly passionate group. And it's something that we need to tap into. Now, earlier today, Joe asked you all a question. How many of you have been in a Blockbuster? Remember that? Okay, so I get a sense the next question I'm going to ask, I think I know where it's going to go.
How many of you, raise your hand, if you believe that this whole social media thing is relatively new? It's like it's relatively new. It's kind of a newer thing. I want to give you something to think about. In a couple of weeks, in June, we have a whole group of people that are graduating from college and are going to be entering the workplace. Do you know how old those people were when Glassdoor was invented? They were 6 years old. Think about that. The generation coming into your workplace has never known a world without this. They've never known an experience that they didn't feel they could influence by communicating and getting responses. So this is really critical for us to look at this data. Not only look at the survey data, but scoop up what employees are saying, current employees, ex-employees, people who are interviewing with us, people who are interacting with our brand. And then where we go in the future is really exciting because we have to figure out how to pull all of this together. So imagine we're not looking at what happened yesterday. We're anticipating what's going to happen tomorrow. We're seeing trends. We're seeing the sentiment that our employees are talking about, and we're able to serve back to them in, benefits or different approaches to the workplace or different types of feedback or different recognition. What worked great for your organization 5 years ago may no longer work. The world has changed. How do we get on top of that? How do we, in fact, start thinking about data? Instead of saying, I need to react and solve something, I need to do what the marketing teams already do a great job of, which is how do I package this to people? How do we get out in front of our communication with our employees on what we're doing well and why it's important to work here? How do we tap into that discretionary energy? So this is a tall order. I think we can all realize that we have to do this and we have to figure this out. The organizations that get the best teams and that get the best talent are going to win. So how do we help? So how do we help at Reputation? Well, for starters, one of the things that we have is, and I want to thank Pranav who helped me pull this together because I think I'm the newest executive at Reputation. It's only been about a month or so that I've been here. But when he pulled this stuff together and he was showing it to me, I'm like, are you serious? Wait a minute, time out. I can do this? Why did I not know about this, right? And so we can help you with surveys. Just like you see customer surveys, we can help you with employee surveys. We can also scoop up a lot of that social engagement and be able to feed it back to you in a way that allows you to integrate both of those different perspectives at the same time. And so the ability to be able to have your HR teams, let's go back to your HR departments for a second. Now, you can verify this with your HR team if they're honest, and if not, just say, hey, some guy at Reputation said this. But do you know what the number one goal is of your HR team when they run an employee survey? It's to complete the survey. They're hoping you figure out what to do about it. It's simply to complete the survey because there's so much that they're working on. And what we need to do is figure out how we give them tools. How we give them tools that will make a difference in how they do their work. So it might be better if I just simply showed you this. So guys, let's run the demo. So here's an example this is a demo of the Reputation site. Now, it may look similar to what you see with customers because it is. It's the same concept. It's the same concept of collecting data from different parts. So we can look at your overall score. We can look at trend lines. You can see where, something's happening here. What's going on with employee sentiment? We can go in and pull in information from different sources. We could pull in from Glassdoor and Indeed and other locations and be able to feed that back to you in terms of sentiment live so you can see it all in one place. Then we can double click on that information and say, what are some of the things that we're seeing? Let's go double click away from just the high level score and let's go, what's the content? What are our strengths? What are we doing really well? We spend a lot of time thinking about what we're not doing well, but we should focus on what we are doing well so we can keep doing it. And we can go double click in and see that sentiment live. We can also go look at where we have opportunities. So in this particular example, we have management came up as an opportunity. And we can see that we're not scoring where we want to score, that there's some challenges in the workplace. And we're not scoring not just to where we want to be, but we're not scoring to where the industry average is. So we can see that sentiment. And then we can double click from there and go one step deeper. And this is all in one place. Now we can see all of that data, all of that sentiment we're collected, all of those comments from all of those different sources in one place. We can feed back to you a score that says, here's how you're doing in each of these different areas. We can look at that over time. We can see what's positive, what do people really like, where are people neutral, what's negative, and we can go down and double click into that even further. So in this case, we'll go back and look at the place we had an opportunity, which is management. And if you see, what we're pulling up here is all the places from all different sources. So this is internal surveys and external data in one place. Really powerful to see it all together. And we can go in and say, well, what's going on here? We can get this high-level overview. We can go in and double-click on these and say, whoops. How many of us have gotten a Glassdoor review like this? Well, these are these are tough when you get these. It's kind of like, you don't want to see that, but you need to take them seriously and follow up. And so in this particular case, you can go right into the same tool that you're in, not multiple places, the same tool, and be able to say, hey, this one really looks like an interesting bit of feedback. We need to follow up on it and assign that directly within the tool to an HR business partner or a functional leader and explore it further. So what this will feed back to us is all of this data and all the different things that comprise what employee sentiment is. And we can double click further. We can go look at, here's compensation. Now, generally what you'll see is we want lots more of it, right? But it'll give you some nuances into compensation that you might not get if all you're doing is looking at employee surveys coming in or you're looking at Glassdoor. So the ability to have all of this in one place, to have these insights, to take the surveys that you're currently doing and put them all together. So you might be simultaneously measuring onboarding and exit interviews and a quarterly pulse survey, and you might be reaching out and doing a survey around return to work. All at the same time, you can pull all of these together in one place and see that information live. And be able to see it directly and make comments on it and then repost that comment as well. So again, really, really powerful tool. I was blown away when I saw this. And the main reason was because I've never seen from a people standpoint. We're really good at doing this from marketing and from a customer perspective, but from an internal standpoint, to see it all fed back in one place. I thought of myself as an HR leader and what I would be able to do with this data. And it's probably a reality on your HR teams that multiple people have responsibility for multiple different things. So you might have one person that's responsible for looking at Glassdoor and somebody in your ops team that does surveys, or there might be multiple people doing that. So the ability to be able to respond, in this case, to a positive Glassdoor review right in the same dashboard is a huge opportunity because we're also dealing with bandwidth issues. Employees are busy. Your HR team is busy. They don't want to go to 5 or 6 different places. So hopefully you found that exciting. And if not, I'm pretty sure your HR teams will. So why is it important? Well, what we talked about at the beginning was that employee sentiment is changing. And if you're like me, sometimes you feel that's a really good thing. Sometimes you feel like, I don't even know what to do here. We've got a whole generation coming into the workforce that thinks about the world very differently. How do we tap into that? How do we tap into that discretionary energy? How do we get ahead of it so we're not simply responding? Really, really powerful to be able to see this all in one place and to use the tools that we've already built and already developed to look at customer feedback and apply it internally to our employees as well. And this is something, I'll be honest with you, as I think through all of the things that I've done in my career, Oftentimes, and I'll just give you an example to illustrate this. Oftentimes, I have employees that come to me and say, if I want to know what's going on in my company, I'll read it in the journal or I'll see it on a press clipping. Like no one's communicating to me internally. If you think about a customer that goes in and buys your product and leaves some sort of a review, and you never respond to that, that can obviously have an impact on your business. Now imagine that that's happening internal to the people that you are counting on to deliver your products and services to your customers. So this is really, really incredibly important, and it's something that, as Rebecca said earlier, it's not going to get easier. We're not going backwards. And so that voice is something that continues to be powerful, and I'm super excited about what we can do. So what do we do next? What I'd like to do is offer up, first of all, come and talk to me if you're interested in this subject. I will talk your ear off about it, trust me, because I'm super passionate about this. Have your HR folks reach out to us. If you're a reputation customer already, you probably have access to a lot of this stuff already and can start using it. So again, I think it's a really, really powerful and important tool, and it's something that we want to and need to be on the cutting edge of. Because at the end of the day, when we think about what's coming, we think about the fact that our people have the greatest voice in history right now. There has never been a time in human history where our people and people in general have more of a voice and more opportunities to raise that voice than they do today. And that's a fraction of what the generation coming after that is going to have. So how we tap into this, how we understand this sentiment, how we're able to build the kinds of cultures that can attract and retain and engage that talent is going to be what our success depends on. So I'm super passionate about this. I hope you are too, and I hope you learn something with this, and we can continue to take it forward. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Michael.